Hello everyone, so I will be doing the worst books I've read in 2018. This will have spoilers because some of the books I will be telling you why I didn't like them are major plot lines, and so if you don't want to be spoiled on these books, then I suggest not watching this video. All the books I'm discussing have been in my wrap-ups, but these are just going to go more in depth on why I did not like them. So let's get started. I think the worst book I read this year was Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. I usually do not give low ratings on books because I can usually find something that I like about it. This book I gave a 2-star rating because I could not find anything that I liked about it. I hated this book. I hated it from the first chapter. This book is about a popular girl named Samantha, and while she is attending a Valentine's Day party, she dies in a terrible accident. However, she wakes up and is reliving the same day, like Groundhog's Day. Sam and her friends are just horrible people. All they care about is their image. They think they are better than everyone, and they don't want any freshmen to even talk to them because they are seniors. They are bullies, especially to this one girl named Juliet. They are constantly making fun of her to the point that Juliet wants to commit suicide. During this Valentine's Day party, Juliet jumps in front of Sam and her friend's moving car, and this is the event where Sam dies and relives the same day over again. The one thing I really hated about it is that Sam relives this day over and over again and doesn't learn a thing. She still does horrible things. During one of these relived days, Sam finds out why Lindsay, her best friend, hates Juliet. And it is because Juliet and Lindsay used to be really close friends when they were kids. And one day they were at this big school sleepover field trip, and Lindsay peed her sleeping bag. And Lindsay and Juliet were sleeping next to each other. Lindsay blamed Juliet for this, and everyone made fun of Juliet, including Lindsay. And she tortured Juliet since she was a kid till now, because Juliet knew the truth. I think it is the dumbest reason to bully someone, especially when this incident happened when they were kids. But Lindsay is so obsessed with image, so she's going to torment Juliet because she thinks Juliet can ruin her. And I think it's just sad that her friends didn't have any reason to dislike Juliet. They just went along with whatever Lindsay did, and so now these people are ganging up on Juliet for doing nothing. While I was reading this, even though I was hating these characters, I was really hoping for some big character development and for them to learn the errors of their way, but that did not happen. I was really hoping that Sam would learn from this event of reliving the day over and over again and realize, oh wait, we shouldn't be bullies, and then teach her friends that it is wrong to be bullies. But nope, did not happen. In the end, the way Sam stops Juliet from killing herself and saves Sam from reliving the day over and over again is that Sam pushes Juliet out of the way and ends up dying herself. I thought this was ridiculous because I don't think it accomplished anything. I don't think it really saved Juliet. Yes, it saved her in the moment from committing suicide right then and there, but she did nothing to help her stop wanting to commit suicide. Plus, Sam didn't stop her friends from being bullies, so I'm sure Juliet is just going to be bullied for this. She's going to be blamed for killing Sam, and I'm sure Juliet is going to feel guilty about this. I just thought there was no real point to this book. I don't think anybody can learn anything from this. The characters didn't learn anything from this. I just think this book is very problematic. It has suicide, it has bullying, it has student-teacher relationships. None of them are handled well. The second book I did not like was The Merciless by Danielle Vega. I got this at Barnes & Noble's for like $3, and if I had paid full price, I would have been pissed. This is not a good book, especially since I wanted a thriller book and not a book about mean girls. This was advertised as like a supernatural exorcism type book, and it wasn't really like that. It is about a group of girls who believe that this one other girl is possessed. and they want to try to save her. The reason that they think that this girl is possessed is because her behavior has changed, and then there are all these pentagrams around the school with dead animals around them, and they think this girl did that. I just didn't like any of the characters. The main group of friends are super religious. I mean, they tried to baptize one of their friends in the sink at school, but really almost ended up drowning her. And the plot of this book is basically one girl torturing another girl because she was having an affair with the girl's boyfriend. And she kind of used this, oh, this girl's possessed and we must save her, to get her friends to join in. During this exorcism, the friends all start turning against each other and revealing secrets that they were keeping. Like, it was revealed that one of the girls poisoned her sister. She gave her sister something that she was allergic to and is in a coma now. And then another girl hooked up with one of her friend's crushes. And during this, they got so mad at each other to the point that one of the friends started to beat up the other friend, and the one girl ran off and she started chasing her, and she fell down the stairs, apparently. No one witnessed this, but that's what the girl who was chasing her said. All this fighting and all this nastiness was just something I didn't want to read. They were just all horrible characters and not in an interesting way. It just didn't make a good story, and it didn't get into being supernatural until the very end, and that couldn't even redeem it. So I'm sure the other books in this series will be more supernatural, but I don't think I will be able to get through them because this one just wasn't for me. The next book is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I gave this a 2.5 star rating. I didn't hate this book. I didn't think that there was anything really wrong with it. It just wasn't for me. This is about Natasha, whose family is about to be deported back to Jamaica, and she's trying to do everything to be able to stay in America. And while she's doing this, she meets Daniel and they fall in love. The reason I didn't like this book is because of insta-love. The minute Daniel sees Natasha, he becomes obsessed with her. When they meet and start hanging out, they've only known each other for a couple of hours, and Daniel is convinced that they are meant to be. This type of love just annoys me. It was very cringy. I don't think this is a bad story, and I can see why it's so popular, and I can see why people love it, but I do feel like I might be too old for this book. Don't get me wrong, I don't think there is an age limit on the type of books you read. I think you can be 60 and love young adult books, but personally I think the romance in this book is too naive, and the way the characters look at love and fate is just not for me. I think I would have loved this when I was in high school. The cheesiness of how sure Daniel is that he loves Natasha, even though they've only known each other for a couple of hours, would have moved me, but now I just roll my eyes. There are good parts to this book. I liked how diverse it was. I loved that the romance was between a Jamaican girl and a Korean American boy, and I thought the immigration aspect was handled well. But since this is a romance book and it is focused on romance, it just wasn't a story that I enjoyed. The next book is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I gave this a 3-star rating because there is just nothing unique or thrilling about this book. This book is about Lo Blacklock, who is a journalist, and she's given an assignment on a luxury cruise, and on this she sees a woman being thrown overboard, but when she goes and gets help, there is no evidence of this incident or even a passenger being missing. At first it wasn't bad. It opens up with Lo being attacked, and this is important to the story because later on it makes her unreliable. Because of this, she is very anxious about everything and drinks and takes medication, and so when there's no evidence and no one is missing, they don't really believe her, and they think that it is due to this traumatic event that she went through. And I think that is realistic. Lo isn't a very likable character, but it's understandable because she's so anxious. The reason I didn't like this book was because of the ending. There wasn't much to it, and I thought it was a lame conclusion. I was hoping for more of a mystery. In the middle, it just kind of dragged on a bit, but the ending was just so quick and nothing really much happened. So if you are a big mystery thriller fan, then you probably won't like this book either. The last book is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I found this book disturbing and gross. This is about Humbert Humbert, who is in love with a 12-year-old girl named Lolita Hayes. It grossed me out by like page 17. This is where he's discussing that he loves girls between ages 19 through 14 and he calls them nymphets. And he goes into length about why he finds these girls attractive, and it just made me very uncomfortable. And not only was this book disturbing, but it was boring at times. It would go off in tangents that didn't really have to do with the story. The only interesting part of this book was looking at it from a psychological point of view. It is interesting to get into the mindset of someone like Humbert, and he's always trying to justify his actions, and so it's interesting to see what he really thinks about this. And it is a point of view from Humbert. So he says, oh, Lolita loves him, and so he's very unreliable, and it's kind of sad and interesting to think about what Lolita is going through and what Lolita will go through when she kind of understands everything that happened to her when she was a little girl. However, all the details they go about with his pedophilia just wasn't for me. I do understand that it is beautifully written, but I could not look past the subject matter. And I know everyone has a different interpretation for this novel. I just couldn't get past it. And I don't think it is a bad book. I just wasn't for me. So those are the books that I did not like this year. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!